Alright guys, welcome back to a new video in our driving mistakes analysis video series. We're back in Lonato at the summer camp with some of our drivers. Let's have a look at what kind of things they could have done better. So let's start. Going into turn 1, we missed the apex. Can't see very well, but the driver ahead slightly misses the apex. I'll show you again. I'll mark it like that. So okay, this corner we all know in Lonato to be easy flat, but obviously you also want to make less distance, right? So in this case, we missed the apex. I would say the apex is about there. It's kind of hidden, you cannot see it, but it's about car length. So that's a mistake and it shouldn't be happening. I would say about a 10th loss for that, just for scrubbing speed purely. Let's keep going. Now look at our driver in the onboard camera. He's too dirty with the steering here. He cannot keep it clean. Look at that. You see the steering wheel? You see that? Let me show you again. It's so important in these high-speed corners you keep everything smooth, because otherwise it's going to essentially kill your speed. All right. Remember, in 60 minutes especially, your steering it acts like a brake, because you only have 12 horsepower. So the more you turn, the more scrub you have on the speed. Look at that. See? It's too much. Too much. Then another little mistake in this lap can be that it was lap 2. Lap 1, sorry. Doesn't really use the curb here on the entry, which is a mistake. Gave up possibly a 10th there. But now we start to see the bigger mistakes. Like, look, here the braking is not ideal. He doesn't really smash the brakes. Look at his feet here. Look at his feet in this area. It's not so aggressive, I would say, and he starts to turn in early. How can I tell he's turning in early? Look, because here in Lonato, I reveal a little tip for you for 60 Mini. In Lonato, the turning point is at the back. Like, you have to basically stay over this curve, following along, using it on the brakes, and then you have to turn at about this spot, right before the end of the curve. This is where you have to turn, so you're gonna make this kind of line. But you can, and he's also, you can see that he's basically turning in earlier, because it's like, let's say this is where he's facing the corner, where the other kid is facing, that kind of line, and you can see that he's turning in earlier than the other kid here. So we have a shallow brake and we have an early turning in, which is not ideal, and we're not even using the track maximum to the left. So if we had to look at this data, we had to look at the data from this corner, from this particular lap, we would see a definite like a big time loss. All right, I would say about 10th and a half, something like that. Bear in mind, that's quite big in our opinion. So let's keep going. Because, by the way, did you notice that because you turned in early, look what happens. What do you think is going to happen on the exit if you turn in early on the entry? Will you stay tight on the exit? Will you stay on the right spot? Or will you exit a bit too wide? Look, he's actually a little bit wider than him. It's not much, but you can tell he's a little bit wider. But here it's not. To be honest, it's early on into the session, so this is a mistake. Now, let's actually break this myth. I don't believe that because, you know, it's early on into the session you can do these kind of mistakes. Yes, you may have cooler tires, whatever, but this is too much. You know, missing an apex like that in the double left here in Lonato, which you should be doing here. You should do the second and the first apex. You should be on the white line. You lose too much time by doing that. So you should really focus yourself on doing a double apex, okay? So let's go back. It's just a bit slow. Look, I mean, our kid in the camera actually makes a decent job in the first step. He still misses it, which is not ideal. It's about 50 centimeters, almost a meter. But then, look, at least our driver with Norwich, he actually makes perfect job here. So that was really good from him. But look, our driver in the onboard, look how much space there is. It's too much. Shouldn't be happening. Okay, should be there on the white line, almost touching the curb. So we definitely are doing more meters, but not only that, we're on a worse piece of track in terms of grip. All right. Now, it's trying to go for a move, but it's actually... He actually doesn't even do, like, he doesn't end up doing it. It's a failed attempt, which I believe it's very bad, especially when you do the race, because then you will lose even more time. You need to develop the confidence and the skills to just get on the inside, break deeper, and I would say even early on less than the other kids. Like if it requires you to, you know, to maybe even miss the apex, whatever, but you cannot do this kind of things. You cannot make a half move, that's what I call them. You see, he overbraked, and then he was like, there was so much gap between him and the other kid. So it's kind of like, he thought about it, and then he thought back up, like, he basically thought back about it. So it was not good. In the process, both of them missed the apex. So this lap was very scrappy by both of them, but obviously it's important to look. You see, the apex is about here, I would say. And we're missing it quite a lot there, which in the chicane here, Lonato is quite bad. Track usage is good. We don't brake very hard. You don't hear the tires locking on the brakes. Do you hear something here? I hear a lot of dead zone, like a lot of time off the brakes and a lot of time off the gas. Listen to it. You see what I mean? It's like it's like not pushing at all here. At least now we found another mistake here, and that is that, well, this is part of the apex, but sorry, this is part of the curb, but I would say it goes like that. Okay, if I could have the curb, it's going like that. Okay, imagine this was the curb. You always have to kind of guesstimate where it is. I think this where the curb trajectory is, but we actually missed it quite a lot. Our kid ahead is missing it, I would say, a nice car length, which is obviously not good. You know, you are losing, there's less grip here. You see, like, look at all of the pickup. Obviously you don't have this same amount of grip, but the closer you are to the apex, the more grip there is in, I would say, 99% of the corners. Maybe there's a few rare occasions that it's not, but in these kind of corners here there is. And you also make less distance, so you have more grip and you have less distance, which is a double gain. So you should always really strive for that. All right, let's keep going. I would speculate the loss was about like a tenth and a half here, and because of that he gets past. Not the best overtake, I think, but still he manages to make it. Now let's go forward and see some of the other mistakes. While catching this kid here, look at this kid. He's missing the apex again. So the ability, guys, so we already saw quite a lot of cases throughout this session where kids have been missing the apex. Like, it's important to obviously get a good speed on the entry, to not go too slow, because obviously if you go too slow, you can make every single apex. You will be perfect in that kind of regards. But the goal is at a certain point that you're able to have the maximum amount of speed on the entry for the grip level of your go-kart and your tires, and at the same time still make the apexes, because you cannot be either one or the other. You should be able to do both. Look at Formula 1 drivers. If you look at their onboard laps in quali, they never miss any apexes. Or if they do, it's because maybe they do it on purpose. It's like a hairpin, there's like a bump on the apex, and maybe they want to have a little bit more traction, like Lewis Hamilton does in some laps, well, in some corners across the tracks in the calendar, but it's rare that it happens. And obviously, okay, there can always be the mistakes, but in the quali, when everything has to be perfect, when the concentration is maximum, you need to try and make all of the apexes. I speculate he also missed the apex. Well, you know how I can tell? Look, like, I don't have the certainty, okay? I cannot have the certainty because I don't see the apex here, unfortunately. But if you see these tires are pointing like that, our driver here, compared to these other kid, is like pointing like that. So I would speculate there's a good alpha car length difference in terms from the apex that this guy is missing here. So that's how my guess. And I'm pretty sure he has that kind of issue. So it's a bit of a bad habit. He's not really focused. So he's not really focused on that. Look again here. Same scenario. You see? Missing the apex. Another alpha car length. And again, the same. You know, okay, our driver doesn't do also a very good job, but at least he makes the apex. How can I tell that he's not making the apex? Because, look, again, we have the same problem. Like, we are pointing in this direction with the tires. He's like pointing in this direction. If you look, if you basically take the tire and you kind of make a, if you move them forward with like with our trajectory, you see there's this bit of delta. I would say it's 40 centimeters, not so much like the other corners, like in the previous two corners, but he still missed the apex, I would say. Assuming that he makes the apex perfectly, because if he missed the apex, then this becomes even more than what we said. I hope this makes sense to you guys. But anyways, you know, obviously we're talking about now, this is a very bad overtake. If I have to rate it from 1 to 10, I would say like a 3. Why? Okay, that kid has a different engine. You know, it's a rock engine. How can I say? It's less powered engine. But look, listen to the sound. It feels like our driver in question is lifting. He's lifting because you can hear the sound changes. And he's completely underusing the track, and he's like too cautious here. He's like trying to be aware of that kid, but there's just too much gap. This is like 2 car lengths, I would say. You could fit 2 cars in here. I think you could fit 2 or 1.5 cars in here. This is too much. And why this is a problem? Because then when you arrive into this corner here, all right, you will not be able to be prepared all the way until the curve. You will be a little bit less, so you will lose speed for the next corner, which in a race, okay, this is not a race, it's a practice, but this kind of things you have to practice in a race. It doesn't mean you have to be completely alongside the other kid and almost take him out. I'm not saying that, but you should be like here, I would say, all right, leave like a 30-40% margin. I think that's good enough. And anyways, even if you end up bumping each other, it's not gonna be a big deal if you just slightly bump each other wheel to wheel. Okay, so it's good for practicing in the race. You see what I'm talking about? You see what I'm talking about? Of course, the other kid cannot disappear, but so you cannot be completely like, you cannot be doing a complete qualifying line over the curb, because this is where we want to be with the left wheels. We have to be here, but I would have at least hoped him to be here, not where we are here now. He's basically underusing the track so much, which is not good at all. Okay, there's too much. Actually, that's not good. I think I made a mistake. It should be like, yeah, this is the right. Yeah, this is about a car length 0.5. So again, we're giving up so much speed. We're not really losing time here, but where we're losing time for in the exit, we're not losing time on the entry. Yeah, maybe a little bit, but the majority of the time loss is at a mid exit, because we have to kind of stop, and we cannot get on the throttle where we would want to. And you see, we end up a bit deep on the exit. We bump over the curb, and we are losing momentum here. If I had the data, I could for sure tell with confidence that we will lose some speed down the straight. Now, we know in Lonato that we need to smash the brakes in this corner. It's the mechanics corner, and we're not even using the curb. So, typically our target here in Lonato is to put our left wheel all the way up until here, and our turning point is there at the end of the curve. And you have to really brake hard, like smash the brakes, like you want to lock the tires a bit. But he's doing none of the three, so he's not using the track, he's not turning where we're supposed to, and he's braking a bit too soft. How can I say that? Listen to the sound. It's like, it's like decelerating. He's not trying to stop properly. Now let's go forward. I think there was other couple of mistakes I saw. Not sure, but I think I did. Oh yeah, Yeah, here's... So now he gets passed by his teammate. And he starts to do some mistakes. First of all, he's keeping it so tight here for no reason, actually. Okay, the other kid is a little bit wide, but look, he's not taking any benefit from the slipstream. Okay, that he just got past, but he's like keeping it too tight. Oh, yeah. You see what I was talking about like 30 seconds ago about using the tracking? About using the curb? Look, the driver ahead is completely maximize it. Like, just like I said, his left wheel is almost over the grass. He has a little bit of margin, I would say 20 centimeters. All right, so it's not perfect, whereas the guy in front is perfect. And look at now, again, the same problem with the braking arise. First of all, I don't understand why he's backing out from the slipstream. I think it's unconscious, it doesn't really realize that. But in 60 mini, the effect of the slipstream is so much, it's huge. You need to try to stay at the back of him, like perfectly. Like, look, actually, this is a common problem among our drivers. You know, this is basically the car length. Okay, let's say this is the all of the draft from the driver that, you know, it's living from the back. Okay, this is the maximum. This is the limits of the drafts. Let's make this little sign, you know. This is what I'm trying to say, okay? Try to try to follow me, okay? So this is the blue things is basically air, okay? It's like if this kid is allowing you to is helping you to have less drag, is to having a better slipstream, obviously, to get better speed on the straight, and you are not benefiting from that. So let's say this is the limit, okay? So this is the limit. If we follow properly his shape, let's say this is the limit, and he's kind of pulling away from it. It's like barely getting into the slipstream. He's staying all the way to the right. Okay, it's not a very long straight here. You will not gain seconds, but you can gain alpha 10th pretty easily. Alpha 10th here, alpha 10th there, they all add up. So this actually, let me take a screenshot. But this kind of things are the ones that you have to pay attention if you want to shave those last few tenths, you know, when you want to get close to the top drivers. All right, so all these kind of things are important to realize when you're driving. We brake very soft. We don't even catch on the brake. Like, remember, there's a certain effect that is called the rubber band effect. Okay, that it's not a very understood term. It's not a very widespread term. I use it a lot with the kids. I don't know who invented the term, and I searched online on YouTube for more explanations. But so basically, it's this. It's like when you are braking, because of the physics of like the speed and the distance. Basically, when you're slowing down from one speed to the other, the distance is being reduced, I would say. So the gap, if you, let's say you are at 100 kilometers an hour, the gap is 50 meters. Then at 50 kilometers an hour, the gap is 25, something like that. Okay, so the gap, as the speed goes down, the gap, the distance is cut in half. It's basic math. So because we're going from 100 to 60 kilometers to 55 kilometers a year, if we have 10 meters of gap, they should become 5. If they don't become 5, it's because you brake so early. So the point being is that you should be closing the gap on the brakes. You should not extend the gap. You should close the gap. Clear? In this case, he actually extends the gap, which means he's gonna get double on the exit. I will explain more in another video. So let's actually rewatch it so you can pay attention. At this point, there's like an 5 meters gap. You should close that gap. You should go to like 2 meters, 3 meters. You should get close to it. Instead, it's like pulling away because our driver in question, in the onboard, he brakes so early and he extends the gap. Look how much gap he's gonna have on the exit now. He's gonna double. You see that? And now it seems like, oh, the other kid has better engine or whatever, is pulling away from me. No. The reality is that, look, we went from a gap of like a car length and a half, I would say, to a gap of, I would say, 3 car lengths. Like, look. Yeah, it's easily 3 car lengths. 2.5. But look, and we still don't catch the slipstream. We're still not catching the slipstream, which is, to me, very bad, because it's like you're trying, we're not give like he's supposed to be here right behind him, but he's not there. So if we let it go forward, he's losing all of the benefit from the slipstream behind him. Okay, say this is all of the air that's coming from the back, and it's like being cut, like, and he's not benefiting from that. So it's not a massive difference, of course. It's not a long track, it's not a long straight, but it can still add up. All right, guys. So let's continue and see if there's any other mistakes. I believe there were. Slightly missed the apex here. He keeps it too tight. That was pretty good, I think. Slightly wide, but this guy is a bit too tight. That guy is a bit too wide. I believe it's still better what he did, because he picked up the gas earlier, whereas our guy in our onboard is too late on the throttle. Too late on the throttle, missed the apex there a bit. I understand, guys, I've been a racing driver myself. I know that when you're pushing, it's easy to start missing the apex. Like, well, not easy, but it's more easy to start pushing. Like, obviously, if you're running in the engine, you will never miss any apex. But if you're obviously starting to push, it's more likely that you miss them. But still, this kind of thing should not happen when you're a certain level. If you're trying to become literally the best, you cannot expect any kind of mistakes like that. All right. This is not much, maybe like alpha 10th or less in terms of lap time, but still, it adds up. You're doing more meters and you're having less grip. Slightly missed the apex there. Slightly missed the apex there as well. But at least it gets a decent exit, so I wouldn't forget. Actually, let's go for this. A couple of things. Oh yeah, here. Okay, this is an inexperienced kid. First time in Lonato. Obviously missed the apex here. Doesn't use the track on the exit. Look, like this is a thing that like you always kind of fight with kids. Like they say, oh, but I actually use the track. This is not track usage, because like he's using, okay, and he's not perfect yet, because like you would want to be here right now in this point. You will want to be here. Let's say here in this case our driving question is here with his left wheel, let's say, but him is probably here now. Like if we consider this position on the track, you would already want to use maximum track, okay, because the corner is finished in this point. The corner is finished. So if you keep the line like the yellow is doing, basically like tight, so you're not using the track and then using it late, it's not good, because you have not really used the track. If you do like him, it's decent. If you do like the blue, it's like, whoa, you've already maximized the track. Actually, not like that. You already have maximized all of the track, and then you just follow all the way through. At the end, they probably converge. All of the three will converge here. So the kind of, let's say, the ending position of the three is probably all in the same place, but it's not. You didn't do the same corner, even though you end up in the same place. The timing will be different in the delta, because he's not really using it like it's supposed to. So look how much he's losing here. Look, I will play it back, and look how much he's losing on the exit because of that. Okay, he's probably lifting the gas, the kid in front, I'm saying. Look how much he lost. Did you see how much he lost? Did you see how much he lost? It's like now just like 1 car length and a half, almost 2. Look how much it was here. Come on, here is like 5 car lengths or something. You see? You can really tell, like, so this is a very important mistake to acknowledge. Okay, it's a very important mistake to acknowledge and to realize that you shouldn't be doing. Okay, let's proceed. Let's see maybe if there's anything else. Okay, this is another big mistake. Here in Lonato, it's very common for the beginners. But, like, listen, you should aim for the white line here. This is the white line. You don't really need to use the curve there because it actually unsettles you. You should aim for that and turn relatively late. This kid is not aiming for that. Our kid here, he's not aiming for that. You should be there, but he's not. His focus is so much focused on the apex there, in here. So focused on the apex that he's forgetting to prepare. That's not good though, because you should do the preparation and the apex. You should do the apex and the preparation. You shouldn't do any of the two. You shouldn't do one or the other. You should do both. So look now how much he's gonna lose. The remaining car line he had is of a gap. Look how much and he completely missed the apex and he completely loses the rear and he almost spins. Why? Because of the entry was completely wrong. He didn't prepare enough. Let's show you again. And he went in with too much speed as well for the line that he took. Look, he goes in almost no brakes. He doesn't prepare the corner. Misses the apex despite that. And then he completely bogs down. And still he forgets to bring it back here. So this was a common mistake. We actually worked with this kid a lot during the days and he got better in the end. But at this point, look how much distance there is from the white line. Okay. Here's our data guy, second gate data guy, Michele, trying to take the videos. We actually do have all of the videos. It's quite interesting. So you can see all of the mistakes that are being done there. Okay, so in this case, he's not even preparing it back. And obviously, okay, you might say, oh, okay, he's thinking about the other kid. No, you shouldn't think about the other kid to the left. You should do your corner. And because of that, he's gonna get overtaken. Alright guys, I hope this was helpful. You see all of the mistakes we touched on this video are very common. And I really encourage you to actually think deeply about what you're doing in your driving when next time you go on the track, and try to really think also when you look at the video, look at data, if you're maximizing the track, if you're like taking the slips perfectly, if you're doing the right overtakes, braking late, braking hard, etc. All of these things that we touched in this video are very common, and they are very common in every tracks, in every category. So I would really encourage you to put the effort and try to improve yourself. And please let me know in the comments below if you have any questions, and I'll be ready to respond. If you have any ideas for future videos, or if you want to send me your videos to be analyzed, please do. I'll be very glad. And having said that, see you the next one.